another wonderful WrestleRoni from me and for you. This is going to be a different type of episode today, and I'm about it. Welcome to the show, current APW Television Champion, current BWC Rising Star Champion, current BWC Tag Team Champion. My goodness. Welcome to the show, Baron Viktor Kraus. How we doing?
It's about time, Louis Bookerton. It's about time that you brought forth someone actually worthy to be on your podcast, your little show, your WrestleRoni. Brought some royalty, a real champion, a fighting champion.
Somebody worthy. Okay, well, I suppose I'm glad to have you. We're finally doing something right around here, huh?
Oh, for once.
Okay, well, you hit me up. I guess you have a lot on your mind. I'm here for you. My platform is your platform, sir. Right out the gate, I want to ask you, last night, APW TV tapings, how'd things go for you last night in the APW land?
Let me tell you one thing, and this goes to every fan in attendance, every fan who tunes in weekly. When you see the travesty that occurred last night in Bradley, West Virginia, I know that there is a conspiracy. These referees are paid off. Either someone is betting on fixed odds or there is something that isn't right. I can smell it in the air. They clearly missed a call. Yellow Man had me by my tights. Everyone saw it but that referee. He cheated and he knows it.
Now, wait. I appreciate you coming on. With all due respect, we can't really soil the name of Bobby Yellow Man on the show. I don't see him pulling the tights.
The dirtiest yellow dog I've ever seen. Don't put one past him.
I have seen him pull some tricks in the past, but as of late, it seems like he's been going by the book. But I'll take your word for it. Whenever it comes out on television, I'll check it out for myself, my man.
No good cheater.
No. Well, I tell you what, you hit the scene the past couple years just out of nowhere. You hit the States, and you're everywhere I look. What brought you to America?
Growing up in an impoverished area, I'm originally from Frankfurt, and Frankfurt is the crime capital of Germany. It's not a good place. I grew up in the streets, and luckily, I fell in with a group of people who ran a mission, and they took me in during my teenage years, and even then we were all in the streets. They didn't take the greatest care of us, and a man saw me fighting one day, and he told me that there was a man in America that could take my potential and make me into a great man. And that man took me to America and brought me to Shawsville, Virginia, and introduced me to Jimmy Valiant. And Handsome instilled a lot of things in me. And if it was not for him, there would be no Baron. Without Jimmy Valiant, without Boogie's wrestling camp, I would not be here today. He is like a father to a man who never had one.
Good to hear. And I'm a big fan of the BWC, everything going on down there. Of course, everybody's a fan of Jimmy Valiant. What can you tell me about training under Boogie and what's going on at Boogie's wrestling camp?
It is one of the most unique experiences I've had anywhere. I've worked in several training facilities, and there is nothing else like it. There's nowhere hotter. There is nowhere colder. There is nowhere with a harder to impact your body ring. It is one of the most brutal places, but there is a reason. If you can land on that mat, if you can withstand the extremes of the cold and the heat, you're prepared for anything. People go to these outdoor shows, or they go to these overheated venues, or they freeze to death in the winter, and they complain and they whine. I'm ready. Everyone that trained with me, we are ready. We are more improved, more honed than all of these other professional wrestlers.
I'll say, the results speak for themselves. You're doing well. All the other students are doing well. And recently, the BWC came on board with the NICW. They're part of that deal now. Joe Brody broke that news on the podcast. So, a lot of good things going on in the BWC. I was also told you were trained by a man with another strange last name. Any other folks have an influence on your career?
I've been very fortunate. I spent some time floating around Tennessee, the School of Morton, I did a little bit. I did some training in West Virginia and some small seminars, but I was very fortunate to spend some time, um, very brief, but very impactful with Lightning Mike Quackenbush, a man who trained Claudio Castagnoli, Orange Cassidy, who's who of professional wrestling, and undoubtedly, I've never seen a man quite like that. He is the most impressive professional wrestler I have ever set foot in the ring with. He completely changed me in the course of 72 hours. He impacted the Baron so much, and my entire wrestling style and perspective changed. And you can watch from the last few months just how much it impacted me.
I've seen. I'll give you that. Love you or hate you, especially like you say, in the past few months, you've been making strides, you've been making waves. I'll give you your props all day, sir. What can you tell me? Mentioned going to Tennessee, West Virginia. A question I like to ask the workers on my on the show. What can you tell me about West Virginia wrestling fans?
Garbage, trash.
Come on.
I absolutely cannot stand their dedication to these fools, their heroes, these guys that every week are just trying to huck a new T-shirt or make another profit off of the merch table. I have no interest in fools. I am here for the refined crowd, for people of intelligence and worth, and that is not West Virginia.
Mm, man. Well, I will just leave that alone because I love my West Virginia wrestling fans. I think they're the best in the world. Let me ask you this then. Why are we wrestling under a mask? Why you wear a mask? Why you hiding your face? Why you wear a mask?
There's a number of reasons. First and foremost, people assume that just because I go by Victor, that that's my real name. I would not wear a mask and let you know who I really am. I have to write a name anytime I fill out a license or a form. I have to let them know who I am. The reality of this mask is because I do not want anyone to know who is under here, so they cannot press charges for what I do to them, for what I do to their heroes, their friends, their family. When I am in that ring, it does not matter who it is. I am going to break them in order to win. There is nothing, and I mean nothing, that will stop me from getting a victory.
Okay, all right. I can appreciate that. It looks like you've looked into our laws over here in the States, so I'll give you your due there. Do you ever draw any type of inspiration for these masks or how they get made? Tell me a little bit more.
Growing up, there were a number of guys that I was able to watch through some of the limited products that Germany does receive. And when I came to America, working with a fine group of individuals, they introduced me to some fantastic professional wrestling. And the mask that I'm currently wearing pays homage to El Generico, one of the greatest guys in Ring of Honor and any of the surrounding independent scene. I have masks that pay homage to Delirious from Ring of Honor. Delirious, one of a kind, unique style. I draw a lot of influence from him. Um, I've got a mask that I just recently finished that is an homage to a man by the name of Crossbones, a Chikara veteran, a guy who was trained by Quackenbush, absolutely phenomenal worker. We are very similarly shaped and sized, and he's a very unique wrestler. I enjoy his work. Not many people see him. If you haven't, look up Chikara, find Crossbones. Fantastic wrestler. I've got two in the works right now. A tribute to Ultimo Dragon, one of the greatest luchadors to ever live. And I've additionally got a tribute to the Assassin, one of the greatest rivals of Jimmy Valiant, the one and only Jody Hamilton, the greatest big man to ever wrestle under a mask.
I love it. Heck yeah. Okay. All right. You're winning me over. I like it. Delirious doesn't get his due. Definitely. I hope Generico's
Trained by
been.
Tracy Smothers. Tracy Smothers,
Ooh.
legend.
Oh man, yeah, no doubt. We could go on all day about old Tracy. I think everybody loves Tracy Smothers. You mentioned this conspiracy, Baron. I'm very curious. Why do you think there's a conspiracy against you? What can you tell me about this conspiracy? I'm very curious.
Oh, give me one moment, Louis Spookerton. I will show you. There is a conspiracy.
You're gonna show
Let
me?
me prepare my camera.
Oh, okay, okay. Whoa,
This,
whoa.
this is every bit of evidence that has ever needed to be presented. From the NICW, I have tied in every individual, the referees, the workers, the promoter himself. I know that there is a conspiracy against me, Lou.
Whoa. Well, I mean, you went through all this work like Charlie Day. Go ahead and break it down for me, man. Hell, I see my name. What did I do?
You're shady. You're a shifty character. I don't know if I can trust you bringing me on here.
I'll give you that. All right. Well, make this make sense to me, man. What the hell?
There are a combination of things going into this. These referees, I know, have turned a blind eye to the Baron being robbed in title matches, in contendership matches, on television, spot shows, you name it. Robert Smith, I know, is dirty. Little Slick Willie McLovin, I know he's dirty. Matty Stonestreet, young up and coming, has so much potential, and I know she is in Joe Brody's pocket. She is in Jimmy Valiant's pocket. She is in Yellowman's pocket. TJ Walker. I haven't quite got George South figured out yet, but I know he's involved in this. I can't trust him. At the root of all of this, though, is not the NICW.
No? Okay.
I don't believe that this commission is that corrupt. I believe Scott Lee, the dragon himself, has put all of these people up to it, have brought them together in a conglomeration against Viktor Kraus. I think they're trying to rob the Baron, they're trying to mistreat the Baron, and I will not stand for it.
You think it's Scott Lee's just straight up patriotism, or why's he got it in for you?
He's jealous. He's jealous. There's never been a finer wrestler to grace the NICW than Viktor Kraus. And he is upset. He's hurt. I put him out of action, and he has put them all together to try to prevent it from happening again.
Wow. I see Bill Watts. Wow. What the? Okay.
Trust nobody. Don't trust anyone, Lewis.
Oh, I'm learning. I'm learning if anybody does. I'm kind of flabbergasted by that. You've obviously put some thought, and you must really feel like...
I have not slept. I have not slept since last night. That was a robbery. It's a conspiracy. They are against me, Lewis.
That was a big tournament, too, man. You could have become NICW World Champion.
Robbed. I should be a world champion. I should take it home to Germany. I should get to do those things. And Yellow Man, that dragon, the NICW, I know something isn't right.
I'll be. Okay, well, I'm always down to do some investigative journalism. I don't know if I'm down to help your cause, but I'm curious.
I'll Wikipedia you. I've got an Excel spreadsheet. I'll do it all, Lou.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. Well, hey, you've brought it to light here on the show. Like I say, my platform's your platform. So if there's any updates, I'm very curious whatever your crazy brain's feeding you, man.
I know, Lou. You may call me crazy, but I am wise. I see through what these people try to feed everyone. They are but sheeps all around us. I am a wolf. I know.
Right. Okay. Well, you're talking about what you see. Something else I like to ask my guests. Break it down for me. The good, the bad, the ugly. What are you seeing out there when you're on the roads, when you're hitting these towns, when in the ring, out of the ring? Let's start with the good. Are you seeing anything good, and what is it?
There are a lot of good young up-and-coming wrestlers that I've laid eyes on. It has been my pleasure to tour for the last 18 months nonstop. Last year, 94 matches. I saw everyone. I saw everything. And, ironically enough, the guy I'll lead off with is a guy you have a particular bone to pick with. And that's the reason why your name's on there, Lou. You're a shifty little shady fellow. That Lane Cali kid debuted last night. And I see something. I see something that you do not see. I see a star in the making. I see a fantastic wrestler. I do not see this bad man that you tried to make him out to be.
I hate to agree with you because I do agree with the star in the making. That's what irritates me. I don't think shitty people should be stars.
I argue your view of his opinion. You think that just because someone maybe resorts to an underhanded tactic or maybe cheats a little here and there, I can show you plenty of evidence of your favorites, your stars, cheating and doing dirty acts to get what they want. You just pass judgment differently upon others.
All right. Okay. Well, you've reflected myself on myself. You're making me look in the mirror, so I can appreciate that. What about the bad? I'm sure we could probably take the rest of the podcast. What do you don't like that you're seeing, sir?
There are a number of places, and I will not go into specific details. I will state that I worked for at least two of them last year, and they will never see the veteran again.
No. Okay.
There are a number of places that just do not do just cause to this business. People fail to realize. Let me break it down to you like this, Lou.
Yes.
A lot of these guys, a lot of these people today, this is a hobby, an activity that they like to do on the weekends or once or twice a month. It's fun, and I do not hate on having fun. Have all the fun you want.
Mm-hmm.
But the difference comes when you try to enter a place that is supposed to be of the highest respect, a place that is supposed to be of excellence, of perfection, of athletes that are unrivaled and larger than life. And you do not give that to those people. I do not care what you do in your fun. I do not care what you look like. I care in your presentation. I care in how you carry yourself. Unlike a lot of these people, Lou, I do this every single week. Last week, I did not miss one. 52 weeks of the year I was in a wrestling ring.
Yes,
I did not stop. I did not quit. This year, I haven't missed one so far. We're 3 weeks in, 3 for 3. I will not miss one this year. I do this every week, 2 to 3 times, if not more, during the summer, 5 and 6 days. I go all over the place. I see it all. If I do not wrestle, I do not eat, and I do not miss meals, Lou. I will tell you, like I will tell anybody else, I am not the wrestler that I wanted to be when I entered this business. I am the wrestler that I have to be to survive in this business, to keep this business alive. And mark my words, I will leave a mark upon this business when I leave.
I think you're doing that. And you kind of won me over with that statement because we talked about it on the last podcast. Yeah, go out there and have your fun, but have some respect for the business. And I think I'll give you that. It sounds like you do have a lot of respect for this business.
I've broken my body for this business. I have worked injured. I have broken my elbow. I've broken my thumb. I have been hurt more times than I can count. And I sucked it up. I didn't make a Facebook post. I didn't cry about it. I went out there and I did my job. I beat another jabroni in front of these idiotic fans.
Okay, give me your worst experience, your worst in-ring experience.
That's a good one, Lou. Lord, let me think. There are a few good occasions. I will bring to light. I'll bring to light. Oh, I got to think of one that I would be allowed to tell you
That's
without
what
them
I know.
pressing
Yeah, I got you.
criminal charges, because I have done some dastardly things in response to what people have done to me. I believe, honestly, there was an incident a few months ago during the Quackenbush seminar. If you want to get into the brutal side of the ring,
Okay.
I slipped my shoulder out, and I wrestled for 3 months with a shoulder that was at maybe 60%, and I still dominated. I still ruled supreme. And then on the inverse, when it comes to inside of the ring, and when it comes to the damage on other people, you want the really good one. I had an encounter a few months ago in a street fight, and I would do anything to have the video for you to do the commentary on, Spooky, because there is nothing better than the view of a mud-showed redneck on his knees begging for mercy as I wailed on him with a wooden sign, splintering it to pieces in front of everyone.
I love it. All right, let's flip the coin. What's your shining moment so far? Your favorite in-ring moment?
There are a number of moments that really come to mind.
Okay, you can give me a few if you got
Um,
to.
Number one, my favorite at the moment so far in my career would be the day that I won the BWC Heavyweight Championship. It was the graduation day, the day I graduated from the greatest camp in the entire United States, which is a statement because this place is a dump in and of itself. But
give
You
you
know,
that.
that was a day in which I overcame a lot. I did something I never thought I would do. And then more recently, winning the APW Television Championship, that brought an ecstasy that is unrivaled by anything. And then when it comes to just moments that matter the most to me, sharing the ring as a tag team partner with the Great Sasaki and the Cuban Assassin in six-man tags. There is nothing that I would do to replace moments like that. Without the tutelage of those two individuals, I would not be who I was currently.
I love it. I'm glad you brought that up. Back last December, I had some problems with El Grego. He knew he was going to get Sasaki, but I made a call to you just in case he tried to pull something crazy, and you agreed to have my back, and I appreciate that. I do. It seems like you've had a little change of heart since then, and I can almost understand why from what you're telling me. But what can you tell me about that experience coming down and working in that cold building and what that was all like?
Back to that preparation, Spooky. I was ready for that cold weather. I was born and raised in it. That night was a spectacular night. It was a wonderful occasion in the locker room, in the ring. Everywhere we went, it was joyous. And nothing brings me greater pleasure than picking someone up and spiking them on their head like I did El Greco.
Oh, I watch it every day when I wake up just to get me motivated and get me in a good mood. So you do that for me on a daily basis. I watch that and I smile. So it is appreciated. I'll give you that. We're talking about all these titles you're collecting. What you have your eyes on any other titles?
Whether Bobby Yella has it or not, that NICW Mid-Atlantic Heritage title would look very well over my shoulder. And I am still more than a little upset when it comes to that NICW World title. I am focused on anything and everything I can do to get either one of those into my hands.
Okay, all right. Well, you have some goals. What's some other goals you'd like to accomplish by the time 2025 rolls around or is over? We're here, so by the time 2025 wraps up.
This year is a proving point. Last year I broke out. Everyone got to see the better and they got to see what I can do. And this year I back that up. This year I show my worth. One of the biggest goals that I have, there's an event that runs every year in North Carolina, Deal with the Steel. And I have a long history with the company down there at AIWF. And I want to be in that cage this year.
Ooh,
I want to show my worth.
I like it. I'm glad you brought him up. A company that I follow, but I haven't had a lot of wrestlers from AIWF come on the show. What can you tell me about AIWF Land?
A fantastic work environment, and I don't know how well you know your history, but I am a bit of a historian. And AIWF, I am a proud part of due to the fact that they have a very rich history through the Carolinas. You can actually watch, there's a China documentary that features footage from some of the same venues that I have worked in for them. They have done some really incredible things, and at one point, they were arguably just behind ECW in the national picture. They were doing things that nowhere else had done up to that point, and they were doing some really good wrestling. And still to this day, they have a very, very experienced, excellent locker room. A group of guys that put the things together, that know what they're doing, and one of the most loyal, deafening fan bases I have ever heard.
I dig it. All right. I got one for you then, because it sounds like you know your history. You've looked into how things have run here in the States. A conversation I've been kind of having with folks off camera, and I'll have it with you on camera. Back in the 90s, I'm watching West Virginia wrestling and a lot of local wrestling. These venues are packed, and I get it was the Attitude Era, so you're going to get that trickle down and everything. But my argument is, I think we have the best talent ever right now, and I think the shows are better than ever because I used to go to those shows back in the day. Where's the fans? What's happening? I mean, we get good turnouts, but I'm seeing a lot of old footage with a lot of fans. What do you think happened?
Listen to my words and my promos over the course of the last few months, Lou, and you will have your question answered. And I will put it to you like this. The reality does not just lie within West Virginia, Virginia, North Carolina, anywhere in the mid-Atlantic or the East Coast. It is within this country. This country has fallen upon a time in which it is more blatant than ever that people are struggling. I came here with the intent of building a life. I am. This is a very difficult conversation to have at times. I am the son of a Romani gypsy. I am a shunned people in my own country. I know what it's like to be oppressed, and I came here seeking freedom. And you know what I see? I see your own people being oppressed. I see people struggling, barely able to pay the bills. I know it's a 10, a 15, a $20 wrestling ticket, but that can be food on the table, Lou.
Yep.
These people are struggling. And in order to help them, we have to help ourselves. We have to bring the money in not just for our companies, but for the companies and the people around us. We need to rebuild wrestling and make it great again and help the communities. Instead, we are focused inward. We are focused on bettering ourselves.
Hey, again, I hate it, but I agree. I don't hate it because I do agree with you. I hate to agree with you, is what I'm trying to say. I couldn't agree more. And I think we finally were making steps in that direction. Baron, recently, NICW just brought on PWL, APW, MVW, Boogie's Wrestling Camp, Top Notch. A lot of companies have come together in our area. Do you think that's going to help things?
I do. I firmly believe, Lou, that if we were to get back to like the territory days, if we were to get back to the greater time in wrestling in which we worked with one another, in which we shared the talent pool, in which we promoted amongst ourselves and to our fans and provided them a basis. Once again, I've done my research, I've done my history. There were towns that NWA Mid-Atlantic and the Crockett's and all those guys used to run that are podunk to say the least. They are almost non-existent specks on the map that if you didn't know how to get to them, you didn't. And they packed the house every night.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest things Joe Brody does right, I don't give him much, but he does right, is he promotes his events correctly using his talent. He will have his guys. We will talk. We will do interviews. We will discuss. For example, February 1st, we're in Grundy, Virginia. We will discuss things like that, like they did on Mid-Atlantic TV. When they would send Pez Wadley, when they would send Jimmy Valiant, when they would send Nikita Koloff out there, and they would run down the venue, the date, the occasion, and what they were doing, they would let the fans know so the fans knew to come.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And Joe has a television outlet. Nowadays, we have this thing called the internet that they can talk on and let folks know. And I got to agree with you. Joe's utilizing both. He's utilizing the TV, he's utilizing Rumble, YouTube, Facebook. He's on top of things. So I hate to tell you, but he's doing things right, man. You're in good hands.
It may not be much, but I do have a respect for Joe Brody. He took an opportunity and a chance on me, 8 months ago, and I believe that I have proven that chance very correct. I will do my best to show that American Pro Wrestling Television Champion has a significance. I will make that belt into a great championship.
Okay, and I'll give you your due. I really do think you will. We're talking about history and doing your research and looking at the past. Obviously, you have to take inspiration from some other foreign menaces, if you will. Who's some guys you look at and even look up to as far as these foreigners coming into the United States and making this sport their own?
There are many men that I idolized and drew great inspiration from. One of my personal favorites was one of Jimmy Valiant's greatest rivals. They had some fantastic matches. Baron von Raschke. Baron von Raschke, the Claw Master. As you'll note in my promos, that's as all the people need to know. He was an absolute legend. And I pay homage and respect to him in my gear and in my promos and in a lot of different ways. He was an absolutely phenomenal worker. And then there are other guys from Europe, the Koloffs and Crusher Rusev, and guys like that. And you can date even further back. You can get to Otto Wands. You can get into Fritz von Erich before the von Erichs were all about Texas when Fritz was about Germany. There were a lot of things that were different then. Over the years, things have changed, and the foreign bad guy in professional wrestling, I believe, is an overlooked aspect. We get treated so differently. And everybody always assumes that we're bashing America because we're anti-patriots, and some of us are. I am not. I stand against injustice, and America is one of the most unjust places I have ever been.
That's fair. That's fair. Well, we talk about the Von Erichs and how Fritz had a change of heart. Do you, if the fans would accommodate to your liking, do you ever see the day to where maybe, just maybe, you could kind of Von Erich it and maybe, be a U.S. guy?
I don't think I can ever turn my back on my country. My country matters to me as much as this mask, as much as Jimmy Valiant, as much as BWC. I pay great respect to Germany. I do believe I can have these fans behind me. I can rally them and I can show them the way, but only if they believe in the truth, and that is the Baron's word.
Okay, all right. I can respect that as well. I can respect that as well. Well, we've covered a lot of base in a half hour. You kind of got me at a loss for words here. I'm thinking here. You've been doing your thing in APW, PWL. We mentioned AIWF, BWC, School of Morton. What can you tell me about School of Morton?
Very interesting place. Very good trainers, very good staff, good talent and roster. They've just opened up a new venue. They are doing very well for themselves. I had a lot of early experience there, and they were a very family locker room. That's a big thing for the Baron, is a place that is welcoming.
I like it. And we're talking about all these different states. You're talking Virginia, the Carolinas, West Virginia, now Tennessee. So you're on the road a lot, Baron, and you're seeing the nation. What are you seeing? Can you give me any crazy road stories? I ask everybody, have you seen anything really crazy on your travels?
I've seen some things, Lou. There are a few that I know for a fact that I cannot retell to you because we have done some things in some places that they cannot be brought to the light of day.
Fair enough.
But I do know, not too long ago, we were working an event in North Carolina, and we watched a homeless man run down the street, and as he ran down the street, he took everything off. I don't get these American people. I will never understand them.
That's not your typical American. He might have been on some American drugs, it sounds like. That's my guess.
It's hard to tell.
Fair enough. We covered a lot of promotions. Is there any promotions I'm not bringing up that should be mentioned?
Let me see. We have covered AIWF. We've covered BWC and the NICW guys. They're not too off of many. There are a few places around here that I particularly enjoy doing work with. People like Jimmy Love and Pure Pro Wrestling. I have yet to work on one of their shows, but I am very familiar with their roster and their people. They're someone that I have respect for. There are a few places down in Tennessee that I've done work for in the past, like Rated R Wrestling. I'd like to get back down to the far reaches of North Carolina again. I'm in talks currently to get up into Michigan for, ironically enough, another separate Pure Pro Wrestling from the Virginia one. I've got some friends up there. We've talked about going to Michigan. We've talked about going to Texas. We've talked about doing a lot this year.
Okay. What can you tell me about, I know you've dipped into PWL here and there. What do you see when you dip into that place?
PWL is a place where the band got many early opportunities, and I am grateful for that. There is a pool of talent there of young kids that I believe can match up to par with any of the other young and up-and-coming wrestlers out of the surrounding states. I may not particularly like him. I think that he is foolishly blind at times because he likes to challenge the Baron quite a bit. But AJ Evans, if he could pull his head around, I think would be a fantastic wrestler. Marcus Mayhem, I beat to death, but I would beat to death any day because he is an enjoyable wrestler. There are guys, Black Ice. Black Ice has robbed me. That is part of that conspiracy. I need to add them to the board. Those two are a great tag team, and it's something I pay great respect to because there are not many great young tag teams. And they do their thing, and I give them the respect for that. There is a very good little talent pool currently in PWL.
Oh, for sure, for sure. What Black Ice do to you?
I believe you have the footage. I believe that you have seen. They have robbed me. I beat them in Mullins, West Virginia, in front of Jimmy Valiant, and they robbed me. That referee was Actually, I may stand correctly. It was not Robert Smith that night. It was Reggie Cassidy. I'm gonna have to move Reggie Cassidy over. Reggie Cassidy screwed us in Mullins, West Virginia.
Wow. So these, why do you think these referees have it in for you? Is it just because you're you're from another country and they're narrow-minded, or what do you think it is, man?
Look at the referees in the NFL, in the NBA, in the MLB. They are highway robbery. They are fixed. They are bribed. They are paid off to ensure of a victory for the other man.
So it's a power and money thing. They're taking the money and making sure the people above them keep the power, you're thinking.
I think they are doing it. I think they are robbing the Baron. I think they are robbing the Baron's friends, and I do not like it.
Okay, all right. Let's do some hypotheticals then. We get through these crooked referees. We get to the bottom of the conspiracy. You solve it. You're at the height of your game. You take over. What changes do you make? What's the perfect wrestling landscape look like to the Baron?
The number one thing in the perfect wrestling landscape for the Baron that I would like to see more of is respect, accountability. I'd like to see a proper installation of a value that I believe is forgotten. I discussed the family locker room thing a moment ago. This is not the day job. This is not where you punch in, stand behind a cash register, and talk to Mary because you guys have to stand next to one another. This is a brotherhood. This is a family. We are all united, whether or not we believe it, whether or not we like one another. We are all interconnected through this web. Professional wrestling is like nothing else on this planet. Professional wrestling is the greatest sport to ever exist. And I think that we can make it there again, but we have to quit fighting with one another. We have to understand that together, unified, we can do anything that we want. But for so long as we stand separated, for so long as we are divided, for so long as there is infighting, for so long as there are disagreements and disrespect, you cannot have a great wrestling landscape.
You're winning me over. I'll give you that. I couldn't agree more. All right, maybe you can help me with one of my struggles then, Baron. Maybe you're the therapy I need. Maybe you can help me out. No more infighting. Agree 110%. What if you're a prideful guy, which it seems you are? You have to swallow said pride to get along with some people, you know? So how do you make that adjustment? You keep the pride, you stick to your guns, but you swallow your pride at the same time. What does one have to do mentally, outwardly? What do you do?
That is a good question, Spooky. I believe it kind of falls back into what I said previously. You know, while certain aspects are different, some things are the same. And you know, coming into the locker room, I respect everyone, no matter our problems. I bear respect for anyone who has made their way into our business, who has earned their place, and who have proved they belong here.
Agreed.
And I will pay my respect. I will shake my hands. But mark my words, just because I shake your hand, just because I respect you, just because I pretend to get along with you, does not mean that I like you. But inside of that locker room, for 20 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour, 4 hours, the whole night, the whole day, the whole weekend, whatever it is, for the period of time that we're in that locker room with one another, that is a time of respect, a time of peace, and a time of brotherhood.
Agreed. Agreed. Now this is what happens, Baron. I'm sure you've seen it. I'm sure everybody has. The respect thing will happen in the locker room, even out in the venue. Then everybody goes home. Then the high wears off from that show, and I'm convinced all those good chemicals are gone. You got the sad, mad chemicals because you used up all your serotonin, whatever the hell the happy chemicals are. Now you're thinking about things, and this guy did that. So then you get on Facebook and you say some stuff. Give me some thoughts on that.
What's the term that you American people like? Twitter fingers.
Yeah, right.
People have Twitter fingers. They like to bash one another across social media. And to be honest with you, my opinion, social media is a poison. I promote my events. I share my photos and my videos. I share the stuff that I'm on, but I try to divulge as little as I can into the petty things like Facebook and Instagram and X and things like that, because there are greater things in life. We have more of a concern over the opinions or actions of one another than we do our own actions and opinions. We would rather we get our point across than to really look at the whole situation or to really think about everything that went into it. Maybe the other guy had an off night. Maybe he had a bad night. Maybe you were off. Maybe any number of things could have gone into that. But in those moments where you let your ego, your pride overtake you, those are the moments where it will befall you. You will show weakness. And in that weakness, I see opportunity. The Baron sees those Facebook posts. They see the injuries. They see the whining, the complaining. And I know those people are weaker. I know that they are softer. The Baron is strong.
I dig it. I'll give you that one as well. I dig it. Good stuff. Now, we talk about wrestling and being divided and everything. You know who's worse than the wrestlers and the people in the business? It's the fans. Here we are in the business dealing with all the stress that comes with it. All they have to do is enjoy it. And half of them can't do that. They want to fight with each other. What are you seeing out of these typical internet wrestling fans? I'm not even talking about the local ones. Most of them pretty good, pretty on their toes and respectful. But man, we got some idiots on the internet.
It's tribalism, Spooky.
Yeah.
These people these people gravitate towards what they like and they stay with what they like, and I do not understand it. And I guess in some comparisons, you can liken it to many things. Professional wrestling is like a lot, and in its own right is its own unique monster. And you know, I know all of us have gone to McDonald's or a fast food place, and they made us a bad burger, and we weren't happy about it. But the next week or 2 weeks later, we went back and we had another burger.
Right.
And a lot of the things that I think that get overlooked by the people at the upper level is that they're feeding people bad burgers and they're just coming back because there aren't many options. And
Right.
I don't believe that these companies at all times are satisfying the fans that they want the way that they want. And through that, they pick and choose. Oh, well, these guys most of the time keep me happy. Well, these guys most of the time keep me happy. And then while they're doing it, they run the place down. Ah, McDonald's made me a terrible burger. You ate there 4 times this month. They
Right.
can't be making you too many terrible burgers if you keep going.
Wearing a McDonald's T-shirt.
Exactly. Run talent down, run the guys down, and then go buy their merchandise. Play the video games and play as them, and get on Twitter and talk about how they had a terrible match, how they were blown up, how they didn't look good. We'll go on Twitter and Facebook and go on these places and just trash guys. I would love to see just one of these people, just one of them who go out there and they say this about these wrestlers and they say this about these events and they say this to each other. Give me 29 of them. Give me 29 of them in a Royal Rumble. I will throw out all 29 of them. I will show them just how hard it is to be a professional wrestler, how hard it is to do what we do. Then they would have a respect. In my opinion, familiarity breeds this. You bring up the internet, you bring up this day and age.
Hmm.
Our secrets have been brought to light one too many times. Our way of life is more accessible than it ever has been to these people. So they read about us. They read about what we do. They read about our training. They read about everything that we go through. And they think that that makes them as intelligent, as knowledgeable as we are, as the people who dedicate their lives to this are. If you go to the doctor and the doctor gives you medicine, are you going to tell him that because you were in the medical journal before you showed up to his office reading your symptoms, that you're now as smart as he is and that you know exactly what is wrong with you?
There you go. Yep. I think I touched a nerve. You're more fired up about this than you are the conspiracy against you. But I get it, man. Like, I haven't paid the dues you've paid and been around as much as you, but I've been in there. We talked about it on the last podcast. I took my first bump and gave myself a concussion. I think they should get in there and take a bump.
I'd love it. I'd love to see just one. That's all it would take. Because I've seen countless wrestlers try to get into wrestling,
Mm-hmm.
have their first day, their second day, their third day, and never come back. I've seen wrestlers get hit for the first time, not in practice, but at full force like it would be in the match, and not come back the next week. I have seen guys cry in training. I have seen those same people grow into strong wrestlers. You have to face adversity. You have to face a challenge. Professional wrestling, do not get me wrong here. Professional wrestling is for everyone. And I believe that there's a spot somewhere for everyone. But it's about knowing where your spot is and staying where your spot is. Do not try to take opportunities from others. Do not try to do things you are not qualified to do. Stay in a comfortable place. Because there are too many people that I see that get overconfident, that think they are Kenny Omega or Ricochet or these guys that are on TV doing all these crazy moves, and they get hurt, or they mess up, and it destroys their self-esteem, and it impacts them as wrestlers. That's uncalled for and unjust. I believe that as long as professional wrestling is done correctly, both by the wrestlers, the promoters, by everyone around, I believe that professional wrestling does have a spot for everyone, and that there are opportunities for people. It's just taking the correct opportunities.
Okay. I'll slightly disagree because, from my point, I've never trained. I'm not an in-ring worker, but I've been to my fair amount of shows in the past few years. I've done different jobs. You have to deal with all these different personalities, and you have to adjust. Believe me, you have to adjust, because everybody's not going to be your cup of tea. And like I say, you got to deal with so many people. We talk about one podcast. I'm talking to Marcus Twist, that's doing no ring death match and just doing whatever he wants and being as wild as he wants. And then the next one, I'm talking to Joe Brody, that couldn't be more old school and have more respect. Not saying Twist don't have respect for the sport. I'm just talking about the different personalities you run into. You have to adjust.
I do agree that there is adjustment, but that is a slightly different thing. I have an opinion and a view on that as well, because the Baron respects, I, in my core value, am a very traditional pro wrestler that has also branched out into lucha libre and a few other catch-as-catch-can styles and expanded horizons. But I have also worked street fights. I have worked violence, and I understand why people do it. Many people will shame hardcore wrestling. They will shame comedy wrestling. People will shame the wrestling that I do.
Mm-hmm.
That's personal opinion.
Yeah.
I am not the biggest fan of vanilla ice cream. You may like it. You may love it. I don't. But you know what that means? If I'm at the ice cream parlor and there's a selection available, I'll pick something different. And a wrestling card, I believe, should be like that ice cream bar. I think there should be a representation. If you want to see two guys kill each other, two guys go out there and kill each other. If you want to see two guys have fun, two guys go have fun. If you want to see a technical showcase, lucha libre, provide something that satisfies all fans. Unite them together, and it will provide a better way for everyone to live.
Exactly. And we've talked about that before on the podcast, and I think that's something we're doing really well in West Virginia right now. We're giving them a variety. I mean, just look at the upcoming PWL show on March 8th, the variety on that card, or, any card, what APW is doing, what RSW is doing, and on down the line. I think we are doing that right in the area. I hate to say it, Baron, but I've been agreeing with everything you've been saying. Obviously, you've got a mind for this, so I can appreciate that. What about the end goal when it's all said and done? The hell with 2025. Let's talk about at the end of the day when the Baron puts up his Baron boots. What would you like your legacy to be, sir?
I was very fortunate, and I mentioned it briefly, and this will be a little more in depth. I was very fortunate to work under the tutelage of the Cuban Assassin, and Cuban was a phenomenal wrestler and a great mind, and was a very good mentor to me for the 8 months that I was underneath of him. And if I could be revered as half the wrestler that Cuban is, because Cuban is a legend.
Right.
Cuban is regarded very highly by very many people. If I can have half of his legacy, if I can say that I did a fraction of the things that he did, I have very meager goals and aspirations. I do not seek much. I seek a sustainable life in professional wrestling. I seek being able to showcase and provide examples of why I deserved to be in here. Why the Baron will go down as one of the meanest, the biggest, the baddest of all time. Because come from I come from nothing. I lived in the streets. I struggled for meals. I've seen the worst of the worst. And now to be on the inverse side, to have a home, a car, a successful life where I can do almost anything that I want, where I get to go out every week on television. People have goals and aspirations to be on TV. They want to be on WWE. They want to be on AEW. I am already on television. Am I being seen by 1.2 million people per week? No. But how many people in their day to day life can say that they were on television in some capacity weekly? I have done more than I ever thought that I could set out to accomplish. And this is just the beginning, Spooky. This is just the beginning. I know that by the time that I hang up my red and blacks, I know undeniably that the Baron will be regarded as one of the greatest foreign entities to ever into professional wrestling.
Almost like you're living the American dream.
Not quite the American dream. This is not an American dream. This is the German dream. This is the dream of the greater people, the Teutonic people, the people not only of there, but I touched on it slightly earlier. I discussed, the plight of the Romani gypsies. I fight for the oppressed, for the people who are looked down upon. You people here in America do not understand. You people throw the term gypsy around and you play with it. Jimmy Valiant is the son of a gypsy as well. Jimmy Valiant understands the plight of our people. They understands that where we come from, we do not get housing. We do not get aid. We do not get any of that. We fend for ourselves. We have caravans. We have villages. We do not go into the cities unless it is for an absolute necessity. There is no worst feeling than knowing that I came from an oppressed country that chose true oppression to a place like this, where we could work with one another, where we are supposed to be united, where this is supposed to be the land of the free and the home of the brave. And all I see are poor, unfortunate individuals who have been bred into a world where instead of love, it is so much easier to hate. Instead of help, it is so much easier to harm. We would rather turn our backs on our neighbors. We would rather turn our nose up at someone homeless, struggling with a sign on the street, than we would to help them and to go out of our way because it is a bother to us. I do not believe in that.
I'll be damned. All right, fair enough. Good rebuttal, sir. We're in the final 5 minutes, Baron. In the final five, I ask everybody if there's any upcoming shows that you're on that you want to promote, any merchandise, anything that you want to put out there in the ether, your socials, whatever it may be. Have at it, sir.
I'll lead off with you can find me along with many other great wrestlers on the wonderful Merco Design website. You can find my products. You can find Sasaki's products. She does fantastic t-shirts. One of the few good Americans. I will give her that. She is a fantastic worker. She knows what she is doing. I highly recommend Merco Designs for all of your t-shirt and any other design needs that you have. I highly recommend her. Upcoming shows, February 1st, we're going to be in Grundy, Virginia. APW is going to bring another action-packed night to Cowboy Gyms. I am looking forward to Grundy again. Grundy is a very, very good example of the little impoverished towns that could be so much more. And I enjoy going there from time to time. I could not stay there full time, though.
Okay.
You can catch us at least twice a month, every month, in Shawsville, Virginia, at Boogie's Wrestling Camp. Come by any Sunday. We will be open, and I guarantee you we will be filming a match, or we will be trying to do something new, or we'll be innovating. It's free admission at all times. Weekly as well, you can catch us on Thursday nights in Bradley, West Virginia, in Mount Hope, at the Mountain State Sportatorium for American Pro Wrestling. I recommend all of our fans come out to those, and you can see just how amazing the veteran is. You touched on PWL. Morris State, they have their big show at the mall. The last time I was at the mall, I broke Marcus Mayhem and let them know how big of a dump it is. Don't bring me back there. Mark my words, I'll do it again. There is a number of big things going on this year. You can catch me across the state of Virginia and North Carolina for AIWF. They have shows coming up frequently in Ivanhoe and Mount Airy. There are multiple dates confirmed there. May, this is a big one because I believe, you know what? Spooky Lou,
Yo.
I am going to give you the greatest thing you have gotten as a gift so far this year.
Let's go.
I know for a fact that I have a date, that I have a show that you do not know about,
Uh-oh.
that you do not have marked in your calendar, and that all of these people need to.
Okay.
As a junior instructor of Boogie's Wrestling Camp, as someone that owes their life, and I genuinely mean owes their life, to Jimmy Valiant, I am proud to announce that we're going to be working alongside of All Star Entertainment, a company based out of Virginia that is run by some fellow BWC alumni and some pretty good workers, and features several of the guys from the NICW and APW. All Star Entertainment is running an event alongside of Wrestling Live from BWC. This is going to be Wrestling Live from BWC's first ever public show outside of the camp. And this will be taking place on May 3rd, 2025. We're going to bring the Valiant Cup back out on the road for the first time in a number of years. We're going to have a special tournament for the Valiant Cup. We're going to do many, many things in the next coming months to build up and to lead to these. And I can already tell you, I have an even better part of this announcement. This is the reason why I said it's the best gift you were going to get the whole year. Because not only do I know the date, I know one of the matches that's already been set in stone. Because as a junior instructor and having the little bit of pull that I do, I requested a match and I was granted it. And I look forward to it because once again, we're working still on our exact location. We are aiming for Shawsville, Virginia, not far from where the school is. But we're working on our exact venue. But I do not care if it's in Shawsville, if it's in Dublin, if it's in Christiansburg, any of the surrounding towns, because one more time, and most certainly not the last unless I break him for good, the Baron will take on Bobby Yella on this special event at the Valiant Cup.
Oh, okay. A shot at redemption for the Baron. Let's go. I dig it. Well, Baron, it's been quite the eye-opening interview. I will tell you, sir, that you're a part of a lot of special things right now, and I think special people make special things. So not only is it an honor for you to be a part of that, I think it's an honor for them to have you. Like I say, you kind of won me over in this interview, and I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you. It's been quite the interview. I'll ask you to hang on the line with me. I thank you so much for your words of wisdom. To the listeners, this is why we do it, man. Different folks from different backgrounds, different perspectives. I ask you to go out there and live your dreams. Treat each other with kindness and respect, but don't take no shit from nobody. Go out there and support independent wrestling. You got an option every Thursday night in Mount Hope. You got your options with Boogies, everything else he just ran down. There's plenty of options for you. Go out there. I guarantee you're going to have a good time. Stay tuned. The next episode is just going to be as wild as this one. I promise you that. I've got some surprises up my sleeve as well that you're going to love. Spooky Lou loves you. It's been a wild one. We'll see you next time.